Okay, today I wanted to make a little video about delays and about stuff that I use pretty much by default in many of the gigs that I do. Gigs that are, pop stuff or jazz, or modern jazz or funk tunes, like fusion-y funk tunes. And I found that I always tend to go back to these like 5 delay sounds. So I wanted to make a patch preset for the HX Stomp XL, which you will find in the Line 6 community page. I always tend to put my stuff there almost as a little bit of a online backup. I will put a link on a pinned comment and maybe in the description as well, so you can check them out and download them. So the clean sound is this. Yeah, that's the clean sound. So if I only had one space for a delay, the one that I would use is the quarter note tap tempo, because that one I can turn into anything. So this is basically the idea. So you can hear there's enough feedback, and obviously if I want it to be quicker, if I want it to be slower, and that adds quite a bit of ambience to the sound, so to speak. A variation to that I use quite a bit is just this. Again, this is a simple delay that is now fixed, and it's about 900 milliseconds. Sound like this. And it's a bit quieter than the previous one. And I find that this adds a bit of a halo to what you're playing, especially when you play solos. It's a bit like of a Jeff Beck thing. I think he uses it quite a bit. So So you can hear that it's barely audible, but it's there. And another way I can use that is it works really well in those guitar, like 80s ambient guitar parts, something like, that kind of stuff. You can hear that it adds quite a bit of ambience, but it doesn't mud up the sound. It doesn't become muddy, so to speak. So that's another sound that I use quite a bit. And it works well in jazz as well when you play certain, certain lines, so to speak, maybe more in a ballad, in a modern ballad. Another sound that I use a lot, again, both in pop and in more fusion gigs, is the tape delay with quite a bit of regeneration. So that basically what that button does at the top is a momentary foot switch that is connected to the feedback, and it turns the feedback to almost like infinite. And it's in a lot of those, it's in a lot of mod delays, and I like the kind of chaotic thing that comes out of that, so to speak. And I use it quite a bit in both pop gigs and maybe like jazz gigs of a certain type. Okay, so the next one is basically what people refer to as the U2 thing, which is basically an 8-note triplet. So if this is my, yeah. So that's the idea. And it basically comes up in so many songs that I always have it. And it works quite a bit, even though maybe the original had more the phaser sound rather than something with more of a chorus modulation. It works well in the Police type, that type of sound, so to speak. It's so distinctive, but it happens in so many songs. If you think of all, the pop stuff, this is, and again, I think this is on a tap temp as well. So if I want to slow it down a little bit, it works just as well. The last one, a slapback. So this is very useful, not just in 50s rock and roll and in general, like rock parts. It really adds so much depth to it. Obviously, you can play with the volume in, I would say, in that kind of classic 50s rock and roll, you want it quite loud, you know. You know, you want it quite loud in maybe the more the 80s guitar part, you want it a bit quieter. But I find it quite useful sometimes to have an expression pedal to the side that you know is connected to the volume of the delay, the mix of that delay, so to speak. This is also quite useful if you play like blues stuff. Like Robin Ford uses it quite a bit, so that kind of modern blues that is more like Miles Davis E. You know, that type of sound, so to speak. So I found that these were the delays that I tend to go back to really. Maybe, well, ducking delay is quite useful. Basically, it just becomes quieter when you play, so that the sound doesn't get muddy. That's another one you can check out. And like more of a halo type delay, which is quite popular at the moment, like Alan Allsworth, Andy Timmons type stuff, so to speak. But I don't find I use those very often. So these are the delays that I use the most often. Obviously, as I said, these are going to be available in my Line 6 community page. I've got a few sounds there. It's all free. Check them out. And as always, if you find that this lesson was of value or this video was of value to you, please send it to somebody that might get some value as well. Share it on social media. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff is very appreciated. And check out all the links in the description and in the pinned comment. There's always something interesting there if you want to explore that. Right, take care. Bye-bye.